What's up, guys? This is my third edition of this Sedition Papers with Mike Shaner, and probably my last amateur version before I move into a semi-amateur version. So this will be my last version, just me and the webcam. After this, I'll start getting it produced and that sort of deal. But a lot going on, obviously, always. A lot going on in the world. A lot going on with the LNC, right? And so I want to talk about that a little bit. I want to talk about some of the things I've been doing. And I don't know, I want to share. Today's going to be a little different. I don't want to just be all politics. I'm going to talk a little hocus pocus with you today and some spiritual stuff. How I got here and how I hope it can help you. And well, I hope you don't need the help, but if you need it, if maybe you're in a place like I was, maybe it's something you can use, and maybe not all of it. Um, Surely not all of it because we're individuals. But what I what I know is to advance the philosophy, any philosophy, but to share the philosophy of a free society and to get other to change hearts and minds. You need to be sort of successful as a human being. That doesn't mean wealth. That doesn't mean anything. But you need to be. You need to live it. You need to be an example that other people can see, not follow. I don't need anybody, but that you can say, this makes sense to me. This works. Like this girl, whatever, living life. I wouldn't mind living that kind of life. I wouldn't mind feeling that way. And I haven't always been that person. I've always had the belief in liberty. Um, I've always had the philosophy, but I haven't always been the best person or the happiest person. And I don't know. I want to talk about that journey. I wrote about it a while back. I wrote about it last week, and you can find that at the seditionpapers.substack.com and or the southsidedragon.com. And I'll put some of these links in the comments. But I don't know. So where do I start? I'm gonna start from birth, right? So I was born. My mother was 16 years old, and abortion in this small southern Christian town wasn't an option that she still wouldn't consider, but it wasn't even it just wasn't a thought that would have crossed her mind. It wasn't an option. It was no more than cutting off her arm would have been an option. It wasn't something she could have thought about. And I've always that issue's always sort of been there for me, and it's something I'll talk about down the road. But anyway, I'm glad she didn't have one, and she had me, and my grandparents raised me, and I don't know my dad. He was, I guess, 17 when I was born. I don't know. And, I know who he is, but I've maybe met him when I was a baby. I don't know him. No, haven't met him to speak of. And my life, my childhood was weird. It was, I grew up different than a lot of people. I grew up with some values I'm glad that I think that a lot of my friends or peers maybe didn't get to have. I learned how to work hard to the point where I don't know how to not be active. I'm a very active person. I always have to have. I don't know. It was instilled in me from an early age, and it was instilled in me in a different way than it was instilled in a lot of you probably. Like we didn't heat the house with artificial heat with electricity. We heated the house with fire from a fireplace, and to stay warm, I cut firewood. In the summertime, I don't know. I guess we were just hot and didn't know it, And there was never any excuse not to. A lot of what we ate is what we raised, and so it wasn't really a farm, but a lot of farm living, a lot of farm values, and we just lived like pioneers. We didn't like it was just a different. I didn't know any better. It wasn't just how I grew up, and it was from a generation. I grew up with values from a generation ahead of mine, or behind my parents, your parents' generation. So, and that came with some blessings and some curses, but it's what it is. That's how a little bit about my road, you know. But still, I guess. Well, there's no point in going into trying to diagnose the psychology of it, but you know, I developed over time. Some bad things happened to me in my childhood too. Some things there's no point in going into here, but a lot of self-esteem issues, a lot of loneliness, a lot of self-worth issues, and I don't remember as a child ever wanted to be anything but a drunken poet. And it's funny because I'm an alcoholic and I go to AA meetings, and a lot of the old timers like to tell you when you go in, they're like, nobody set out to be an alcoholic. I kind of did. I mean, I kind of, my heroes were Hank Williams and Jim Morrison and Ernest Hemingway, Jack Kerouac, and Jesse James. My heroes were outlaws and drunks, and you know, so that's what I was raised by. That's what I wanted to be. That's because I saw in the movies those people. They led these tragic lives that were memorialized, and people loved them. You know, it was I sort of related to them because they were sort of sad. I'm happy. I've always been happy. I don't want to put it that I've just been this sad, depressed person. I haven't been, but they were sort of sad and sort of tragic figures. But in the end of the movie, somebody always loved them so much, and somebody, you know, and so I wanted that. I wanted to be that in my head. That was my mission, to become that. And you know, life happens. You grow up, and you know, I got married, I got divorced, made a lot of money, lost a lot of money. I've had a good life. I've done things a lot of people won't get to. I've I had a certain amount of guts that allowed me to take risks that a lot of people will never take. I also had a certain amount of nothing to lose that allowed me to do that too. I basically destroyed every relationship. Maybe I didn't destroy every relationship. Maybe I set out in the beginning to find relationships that were passionate but never going to last. And that path of self destruction, it sort of like all I really wanted was I didn't want to. I never wanted to be famous or rich or hell even comfortable. I just wanted somebody to love me and somebody that would put up with every insane idea that came to my head and thing that I did. And they all loved it at first, but you know, eventually it didn't work. So anyway, that was a long time ago, a long time ago. And I grew up, and I don't think I became the person that a lot of people expected me to come. I didn't end up in prison or homeless or you know some kind of loser. I didn't some kind of loser. Uh, those things that they didn't happen. I ended up I have a knack for because of my work ethic, I suppose. I have a knack for finding ways to make money that had made it outside of a brief period. Like I said, never been rich or anything, but I've always been able to have and do pretty much whatever I wanted as an adult. As from the time I was 21 years old, if there was something I wanted, I figured out a way to earn how to do it, and that almost like breathing. That's always been I've been fortunate in that way. Didn't start out that way. Didn't grow up that way. If anybody that most people would have probably called us poor. I didn't know we were poor, but a lot of people would have. You know, if you look at our house and looked at our yard, and you know, we're white trash, man. It's funny that's a word you're allowed to say. You can call people trash as long as they have a certain skin tone and get away with it. But that's a different topic. Um, That's what That's what we were. So those things I've always been. I've seen the Great Wall, and I swam in the Pacific Ocean. And I swam in the Atlantic Ocean, and I've done things I'm proud to have done. I've hurt people along the way. Never thought I was going to hurt anybody. Never set out to hurt anybody. Always was justified in it. Hurt myself a lot. And I've never been suicidal. I've always been too superstitious and too. Well, I love life. I love living. I really did enjoy living. And but anyway, about 8 months ago, not about it was 8 months ago, 8 months and 7 days ago, 8 months and 7 days ago, I sat out on a business meeting. I didn't even feel like drinking that day. And I guess I should explain before I tell this story. I should explain what kind of alcoholic I am. So there's some alcoholics that are, you know, there's a hobo down by the train with a brown bag, and then there's the businessman that comes home every day and drinks. And well, I wasn't any of those things. I quit drinking for a long time, and I quit drinking for a long time, and not even try to quit. Like drinking wasn't an everyday. It wasn't a. But when I drank, baby, I drank, and I was an in the news kind of drunk. If you and I are sitting here having a drink, if we're drinking together, I can be one of them. I can be after 3 drinks, as long as we're on the same pace. I can be the most charming individual you'll ever meet. Doesn't matter until 100 drinks. But if we ever just get off key and something doesn't click, I got this demon, and that demon will come out, and I want to not hurt anything or anybody, but all my animosity towards the state, all of that comes out, and I explode. I've led the police on 50-mile car chases at 160 miles per hour, and I'm not glorify laugh because it doesn't seem real when I talk about it now. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I don't want to. One thing that happened to me is self destruction was romanticized, and I don't want to. I don't want to continue that trend. I don't want somebody to see this and think, oh, you know, I did a lot of bad shit, and I don't want a lot of bad shit. I destroyed property, all sort of shit, and then stupid shit. And lucky I didn't kill anybody. Lucky I didn't kill myself. Whatever. But my point in saying all that is that's the kind of drinker I am. I can drink up to 3 drinks and stop. I can not drink for a long period of time, have a drink, stop. But at some point, I'm going to have that fourth drink. And when I have that fourth drink, I'm going to have 40, and I'm going to kick out the lights. So for me, I can't drink. That's just that's the way it is. And how I got to this point is I've always been, like I said, I've been depressed, I've been sad, been broken, I've led sort of a broken life. And 8 months and 7 days ago, I went out and I closed a deal. I have a business services firm, so I do. And if you own a business, you should use us. We do credit card processing, payroll processing, marketing, and especially with the credit card processing, we'll save you a lot of money and offer local service that nobody else. In every way, we're better than whoever you use, especially if you use somebody like Square, free equipment, that sort of stuff. Businessprocesssolutions.net. It was very fortuitous that I came to this point in the story that I could do that commercial, and I will put my business in the comment section. But anyway, I closed the deal. I went to a bar actually, and I didn't even feel like drinking. That's the weird thing about me. A lot of times I had no intention of drinking, not wanting to drink. It wasn't like I had no intentions of drinking, couldn't resist the temptation. I had no temptation to drink, but I would talk myself into it. And this day, I was at a bar, and to close the deal, I ordered a shot, and a shot of Jameson and a Miller High Life. And as one of those nights, turned into 40, turned into 50. I don't know how many turned into, a bunch. Ended up 5, 6 bars, and then I was in the greatest mood when I had that first drink, like the best mood. Everything was going good. I felt whole inside, and something clicked. That demon came out, and I was ready to kill myself. I was going to die. And when I'm drunk, like it's not a cry for help. I was gonna die. When I'm drunk and that demon tells me to do something, I do it. If he tells me to break the window, and I was gonna die. And I think I wanted to get one last barb in at some people I was upset with before I died, so I decided to make some phone calls to let them know. Nobody answered, and then that played into my self pity. Person I wanted to answer the most didn't answer. The next person didn't answer. People, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. People were asleep. It wasn't like they were like, oh, anyway. But my aunt answered. My aunt answered, and she stayed on the phone with me till enough of the whiskey left my body that I didn't kill myself. I spent the next day in bed, and I don't do that. I'm the kind of I get hangovers, but I get up, go outside, and go to work. I don't lay around and nurse my hangovers. Ernest Hemingway said. Ernest Hemingway said, "Always do what you say you're going to do drunk. Do it sober." And in this case, committing suicide is probably not, you know. But I learned a long time ago to always, if I like to just not lay in. Like it teaches you not to say shit. That's what he said. Never taught me anything, but it still, I worked. So this day though, I didn't. I just laid in bed. I was laid in bed and mostly nursed my soul. I was, you know, reflected on all the drunken text messages, calls, voicemails I had left the night before, and how I'd gotten to the point of suicide. How I'd woke up that morning in a great mood. At 2 o'clock that afternoon, I closed the deal and decided to celebrate, and the whiskey took a hold of me to the point it was going to let me end my life. It doesn't make sense. It's not logical. So, anyway, I didn't do anything that day. The next day, I went to an AA meeting. I've been in the past AA meetings, whatever, but this time I went in because I knew that if I don't want to die because I make bad decisions I make bad decisions when I'm drunk, and I didn't want to die because I make bad decisions when I'm drunk. So I knew I had to change something, and and I knew it was more than just not drinking. I could probably, honestly, they hate this, but honestly, I could probably quit drinking on my own. What so I knew it was more than just that. I had to find the symptom. I mean, I had to find the disease. Like the drinking was a symptom. I had to find the thing that caused me to drink, and the thing that caused me to be so broken that all the other shit. I didn't know this that day I went in there. I just knew I didn't want to die. But I went into AA, and one thing led to another, and anyway, it took me 8 months. I haven't had a drink in 8 months, and on that journey, I found a lot about myself, a lot. Um, I had been on sort of a healing mission for a couple of years. It's not like this is an 8 month progress and I'm healed. I'll never be healed, but it's always a. I'm gonna have to pause this for a second. I don't know how to pause it. I'm gonna let you guys stare at my Willie Nelson flag for a minute. I'll be right back. Okay, well, that really threw me off. Sorry about that. I take care of my, you can see that, but take care of my grandfather, and having some home help stuff delivered. They delivered in the middle of this. I wasn't prepared for that, and I honestly I'm not. I don't know how to do this live stream. Hell, I hope I can record it at the end of it and do it the way I normally do. Because if I'm saying all this as something I can't record and send out, then I'm fucked. But it is what it is. It's not that big of a deal. Nobody needs to hear what I say that bad anyway. Um, so I'm gonna where was I? Oh, yeah. So been working on myself a long time. A lot of cliches come along, and so it took me 20 minutes to get up and try to tell my life story to the point to keep it moving. What I've learned over the past couple of years, though, for real, and especially the past 8 months, is one thing I hate is when people say, and I was having this conversation with someone yesterday, and that's really what inspired me to do this whole video. I don't like when people say learn to love yourself, or people say things like you can't love anyone else until you learn to love yourself, or no one can love you until you learn to love yourself. That's all bullshit. For me, I can't speak for other people. My journey is that's bullshit. I always loved myself. Fuck, I love myself. I love myself a lot. And I love other people. Genuinely, I'm a good man. I've done bad things, and like I'm a human being, and genuinely, I'm a good man. I'm a wonderful grandson. I care about other people. I'm unselfish. I Those things aren't new. Those aren't things I've. Those aren't. That's internal. Those are things that have always been there. I've always loved myself, and so all this time, like you hear those cliches, and people mean well when they say them. I hear these cliches like you should learn to love yourself, or no relationship's ever going to work out until you learn to love yourself, and blah blah blah. For the person in the throes of destruction, for this person in the throes of destruction, that was really detrimental to my recovery. Because there's already so much going on, and there's so much confusion and so many battles, and I hear from the outside world that I don't know how to love. That fundamental thing I don't know how to love, that I don't truly love, and that even myself I don't love myself. It's not the case. I knew how to love. I've always known how to love. I love big. I love. There was no know how to love. It's a natural thing. I didn't know how to accept love. I didn't know my self worth. I didn't know that I had any real value. Um, I didn't value myself at all. And here's the thing: I did. If I sought relationships with people who were unavailable and who were also broken, probably it's not my place to judge what other people are, but I sought relationships that I could relate to. We're magnets. We're drawn to each other, and anyone else, anyone who just liked me, I thought there was something wrong with, because I was so broken. I thought that if someone just truly loved me unconditionally, there must be something wrong with those people, and I would discard them. And I think that's we have a bad. I shouldn't speak of what other people do, but I think it is a symptom of society to, especially of people who have low value in themselves, to sort of chase after people who don't deserve it, maybe, while abandoning people who maybe do deserve it, deserve the loyalty. I Anyway, that was me, and I always put myself in a place that subconsciously I knew how the relationship would end. Because I didn't think that I really deserved to be loved, and I sort of placed other people that maybe just didn't naturally love me on a little bit of a pedestal. Like if I could earn their love, I could be validated, and I sought that validation from other people. And that wasn't because I didn't love myself. I loved myself a great deal. I didn't want to hurt. Like all the things that describe love, I wanted happiness for myself. I wanted peace for myself. I wanted prosperity for myself. I wanted great things for myself. Those those are things you want for people you love. And I just didn't think I deserved it. I didn't deserve those things. It took me a lot of work to realize I not only deserve those things. I mean, those things, life was kind of throwing those things at me, and I would just block them, block them, block them. Not because I hated myself. I was scared of losing them, I suppose. Sort of, I felt so. I don't know. When you're when you're when I was down with a low self-esteem, with a mom who couldn't have been a mom, and a dad that didn't know how to be a dad, or that was a kid that I don't know, and some of the other things that happen when you are sort of born into abandonment. Those fears are really real, and how we it's easy to say nothing good can last, and like any that's the crux of all of it. Every good thing that I ever had, I felt like I came to me by mistake, and I was bound to lose it because I wasn't supposed to have it. It wasn't in the stars for me to have these good things. But I lost them. I mean, fuck, hell, I made sure that I lost them. That was predetermined. It was on me though, and so it wasn't because God hates me. It wasn't because the universe hates me. It wasn't because I don't love myself. It was because I didn't know how to accept love. I didn't know how to accept prosperity. I didn't believe in myself that I deserved. It's funny because I'm an egomaniac, man. I'm a smart guy. I know that. I'm an very intelligent guy, and reasonably good looking, and can be kind of funny. I work hard. I have a charitable heart, and a lot of good things. And so the ego is definitely there. I have one, but that's not the same thing as having a value on yourself. Like I always thought I was a temporary thing. Like, so what changed? Going to the meetings, doing all that. Sure, I've been taking care of my granddad. Well, I moved back from California after my grandmother died. I got divorced, and my granddad was alone. There was no reason for me to stay in California and let my granddad be alone. I didn't get to. I was here at the end when my grandma. I was raised by my grandparents, like I said. I was here in the end when my grandmother died, but I didn't get to be here as much as I wanted to be and could have been while she was dying. Um, they were married for 50 years, and their relationship very complex, but they loved each other so much. And he woke up every day for 50 years, and there she was, and then one day she wasn't. And the idea of him just being here by himself, I don't know, I couldn't do it. So I didn't move back to take care of him. I really didn't know what the fuck I was getting into, to be honest. I moved back so he didn't have to be alone, and we were each other's companions. I had girlfriend for 5 years. We broke up. I had another girlfriend for 5 years. We broke up. Um, but they lived where they lived, and I lived here. And every morning it was my granddad. He was here. I didn't take care of him. I he'd make hash browns out of potatoes, and I'd cook the steak and eggs, and we took care of each other. It was a learning experience. But anyway, about the same time as my little suicide incident, he got sick, and so for the past year, I've been taking care of him. I've been taking care of him gradually. 10 years ago it was we're roommates. 2 years ago it was I mean, even for the past 10 years, it's I drive him to his doctor's appointment. I pay the bills. I do all of his stuff for him, but he still gets around. When he wants to go to the casino, I give him a little bread, and he gets in the car and drives to the casino, parties all night, and comes back. He never drank, but he just gambles all night and comes back with no money. And so he could still do those things. Like doctor's appointment, making sure his medicine's taken care of, all that sort of stuff. I did. To start a couple, just he gets older. People get older and they go downhill, and my responsibility became a little more and a little more and a little more. Pretty soon, he wasn't making hash browns anymore, and I'm doing all the cooking and all the dishes, and it just sort of just became this thing that I didn't set out to do. I did not. If you had asked me 10 years ago, do I want to come and be a full-time caretaker? Absolutely, there's no way I would have done. I would have said yes because I didn't want people to think poorly of me. But there's no way that person I would have found a reason not to do it. And but as it happened, I just sort of been here as he's progressed, and through it all, regress, I should say. Through the suicide thing, through the drinking, the not drinking, through the helping him first, like giving up myself, and then learning to serve others. My heart's opened and expanded and changed who I am, drastically changed who I am. That core's still there, and no way am I saying I'm a bastard, man. I'm mean sometimes too, but I know how to love differently now, and I know how to accept love, and I know how to be unselfish now that I didn't know before. And man, sometimes the days are so hard. Sometimes they are. Like, okay, I'm going to play advice a little bit, vent a little bit. I run a full-time business, and it's a relatively new business, a couple of years old, and I've got a farm, I've got the cows I got to take care of, and I love doing that. I love being cowboy. I've got all the political stuff that I do that I feel it's too important to stop doing. That actually I'm getting more involved in. I have I'm a state organizer for the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus of Alabama. I'm a social media coordinator and for the Libertarian Party of Greater Birmingham. I'm a communications committee member of the State Libertarian Party of Alabama. And then just recently, I started a charity called the Libertarian Charitable Association of Alabama. And so I do a lot. And some days are so hard, man. Some days are so hard. Some days in 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll get a call from a client who really needs my help. I have to take my granddad to the bathroom. One of the cows will break through the fence. I've got a blog I need to write for the charitable association. computer crashes, and I'm pulling my hair out. And then I realize, not in that moment, but when the day's over, I don't need to go drinking for it. I don't need to go destroying everything. I don't need to be some wild rebel to get people to notice me and love me and pay attention to me because I'm an idiot. Which that's really what I thought. That's why I did all those things. I thought I was a great Roman candle. Just everybody could see me this little bit and they'd love me temporary. All of my life was about temporary. Now it's not. All those things happen. At the end of the day, I'm so blessed. I'm so happy that I get to do these things. Nobody makes me raise cattle. I love doing it. Nobody makes me take care of my granddad. He took care of me when I was a baby. So it's a fun way to say it. I do because I love doing it. I love doing it. I love that I don't know what would happen if I'm not here, though. That's why I started the charity. And so I'm going to segue into that now. So that's my story, man. I know people gives a fuck. My point in saying all of that is keep walking through it if you're down. Don't feel like you don't know how to love. Don't feel like there's something wrong with you. We can all improve on things we do. But in my opinion, and for me personally, the one thing I needed to fix more than anything else was my sense of self value. Once I learned, once I learned that I had, once I learned who I was and the difference between confidence and arrogance, and once I learned it's a change I can't, it's just something that I promise you, if you stick with it, man, it happens. If you don't ever kill yourself, just walk through it, just walk through it, just walk through it. There's a certain breed of people, I believe this, that we feel things a little bit different and maybe a little deeper. And we don't connect with society the way you see the outside world doing. And it's lonely. But once you get through it in your mind and your spirit, you connect. There's not a way I can explain it except to say it'll all make sense when you get here. It'll never be easy, but you'll quit wanting it to be. Things aren't going to just like the challenge becomes something that you look forward to, and you start finding your tribe. You start finding the people that you do connect with, and it gets to be not lonely. When you start accepting the love that people want to give you and start reciprocating that, lonesome isn't there anymore. That all these feelings of insecurity, of bitterness, all these fear, the fear of being alone, the fear, all of these things, fear is what it all boils down to. All of these things are destroyed. And it's love. And it's love and it's about achieving and not achieving dollars and not achieving fame, not achieving praise and adoration from other people. None of these things that we used to use to fulfill the hole inside of ourselves. None of those things are there. None of those once I got to where it made sense, once I got out of that, once I stopped living from just myself, it all made sense. And there's a peace that I can't explain to you. A peace that I promise you'll feel if you just don't try to force it to happen overnight. Allow your feelings to be what they are that day. Recognize them, but don't dwell on them. You can think. You can't control what thoughts come into your head, but you can control how long you think about it. You stay on that positive side. I know this all sounds like a bunch of gibberish and bullshit. I'm telling you, it's true. And so where I was at, the reason for saying all this, the reason I'm getting there is we have to. Because we're at a time in history where the whole world's about to change. It's there is no stopping the collapse anymore. There is no. This isn't a sky's falling. We can't stop it from collapsing. They're pumping more. The dollar is on the way to being worthless. Just school board meetings are civil wars now. There is a tyrannical class versus a liberty class, and there's going to be a collapse. And what happens after that is what we're talking about now. What happens after that is someone has to read it. I'm going to read it, and I wrote this, and you can find it on the Sedition Papers at .substack.com. But I'm going to close with this. This is where I think we are. The true labor of the liberty advocate is not to change the mind of the statist. The true labor of the liberty advocate is to convince the man in the middle, who is comfortable, lazy, and without forward thought, to leave his comfortable position. There are three types of people: those who believe in maximum liberty, those who believe in maximum security, and those in the middle, who care about neither in general terms, but comfort in personal terms. The vast majority lie sleeping in the middle. It doesn't mean they're immoral people. It means they're human beings. The old "give them bread and circuses" quote comes to mind. If people are comfortable in their home, they rarely feel the world burning around them, especially if their whole community is comfortable. Often they will not clearly see until they are blinded by the smoke. When the fire is already in their house and the couch is on fire, they may jump around in a screamed panic, searching for water, but nothing can be done except to build a new house. The battle at this point isn't to change this society. This society is burning. At this point, it's about gathering the material to rebuild. It will happen in stages. We're at the very beginning of a collapse now. There will be periods of famine, food shortages, looting. It's going to be a cold winter. And these times will be twisted. The propaganda about what could have prevented the collapse will be even greater than the propaganda that actually caused it. In times of desperation, even staunch liberty advocates will question what really happened and start petitioning for a strong rule of law, temporarily, of course, as a ladder from the rubble. Resisting this temptation and demand to restore comfort will prove more difficult than anything we had known in our previous lives. After the fall of a society, there will be a rebuild. What kind of society will we put into place? That's what we're fighting for now. We claim to be, we want to be, and in practice we are fighting for the now. But in actuality, we're tilling the soil in preparation of a new garden. We're planting the seeds of a free society for what happens after the collapse. Perhaps we're Moses, about to enter 40 years of desert. Maybe we'll get to see the promised land, but not actually enter it. Some of us won't even see it. The only desire is the hope that it will be. In times of darkness, humans will survive on purpose and hope. It keeps us moving. The collapse is in motion, and that can't be stopped. But there are things that can be done to soften the blow. We could be allowed a peaceful divorce from the federal government, preventing a cruel and bitter war on a society already in desperation. One has to wonder. They hate us. They hate that we won't take their shots, that we hamper their vision, that we rebel against their tax code, that we bring light to their corruption. But they refuse to let us go. They would literally rather kill us. Someone has to wonder, why? Is it the same rationale long dead slave owners used about what they considered their property?